Good morning and welcome to Incorporating Khanmigo teacher tools and Khan Academy assignments for enhanced learning engagement. My name is Lee Arnold. I'm here from the Ed Tech team. We appreciate you being on so early this morning. A couple of housekeeping rules as we get going into our session this morning. We're going to use the chat box to communicate. You're going to see our friend with the wrench next to their name. Stacy is from Khan Academy, is happy to answer any questions that you have here. If this is your first time logging into a YouTube stream, you're going to have to log in and create a channel on your district email. If you are still having trouble to get the chat, which technology sometimes happens, you can then go ahead and open an incognito window, paste the URL for our live stream in there and sign in. That should open up the chat if you have problems. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. If you subscribe, guess what? You can see all of these other sessions that are not only past, but coming up today. We have a plethora of sessions that are going to be engaging between Typing Club, more Khan Academy, Khanmigo sessions, and can't forget Adobe and Canva. And I would like to now introduce Betsy Lees from Khan Academy. She is going to present today on the teacher tools. So we're so excited. And Betsy, I'm going to let you take it away, and we're happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Lee. And thank you to Palm Beach County for having me today. I am Betsy Lees, the professional learning specialist for Khan Academy. And we're going to dive into Khanmigo teacher tools, Khan Academy assignments, and using those to enhance learning and engagement for your students. I want to take a quick moment to introduce two of my colleagues that you may know already. Tamsin Storin is your dedicated Palm Beach County Schools professional learning specialist, and Elizabeth Hadley is our district success manager, and they work directly with your district to assure that you have everything that you need to be successful with Khan Academy. I also want to take a moment to kind of reintroduce Lee here. This is our Palm Beach Ed Tech team. They are a knowledgeable team really dedicated to supporting each of the regions in Palm Beach County schools to support that implementation of our digital tools and the pedagogy that goes along with it. So we thank them for their partnership as well. So, we have got a couple things we're going to get to today, and our focus is going to be first to look at what Khan Academy has to offer. We're going to look at some course content and the breakdown of that content and how to use that to monitor student progress. And then we're going to have some fun with Khanmigo teacher tools and that Khan Academy course content. Before we jump right into the platform, I want to make sure that you know that Khan Academy and Khanmigo are one and the same. Our Khan Academy mission is to provide a free world class education to anyone, anywhere. And we have new AI tools that allow teachers and students to take advantage of technology to really act as a teacher support and to act as a student support for that extra tutoring that our students might need. When you're in the platform, you're going to see Khanmigo, that little face all over the place. The first thing we're going to look at today is, of course, going to be those Khanmigo tools for teachers. And that's where I think the magic happens. We have created these tools to make sure that they meet your needs. Educators have created these tools to save you time, to help you solve some of those issues that you face every day in your profession. And while we might not be diving into our Khanmigo for learners today, we really are. There's tons of sessions later if you want to dive into it there, but it is another tool that you have along with your platform. So we're going to jump in. Let's look at the Khan Academy courses. First of all, you want to go to your Khan Academy website. And on that site, you're going to notice that you have classes that are already rostered for you. And these classes match along with your daily plan. Then you'll also see that each of these students that you have are rostered in these courses. So really you have no more work that you have to do. So please be assured that you have all of your classes scheduled. And I'll give you a moment just to make sure that those classes are to be explored. Next, I want to break down the Khan Academy course content components for you. Each of our courses has a title, is broken down into units, and within those units, we have lessons and practice exercises. We see those in the form of articles, videos, we see quizzes, tests, course challenge, mastery challenge, and many of that is assignable. We're going to dive into that in just a couple minutes. And I also want to show you in Khan Academy how to navigate to these areas. You're going to go to Explore. We have over 110 different courses for you to choose from. I'm going to pick my favorite, which is the digital SAT. And I'm going to choose the digital SAT reading and writing. And you notice here, we've got all of the different units organized on one side. This is my learner screen, so you can see how I'm doing in digital SAT reading and writing. Then I'm going to click on this medium craft and structure. And then it breaks it down into these different topics. So within craft and structure, words and context, text structure purpose, cross test connections, and then I have a unit test. And within each of these, I've got articles, videos, and you can see here exercises that I need to try again on. I want to give you just a few more minutes to do exactly what I just did, which is to take a look in your Khan Academy platform and to choose a few classes that you want to explore. And I'll give you about 3 minutes to go ahead and do that. Now that you've had some time to explore a little bit, I want to point out a couple really amazing features. So, one of the things that Khan Academy offers is our courses are aligned to the Best standards. So, you can be guaranteed that what you're finding in those math courses are aligned directly to those Florida standards. We also have a lot of our AP course content here. And we have some really exciting things, like I showed you, the digital SAT. We have an exclusive partnership with the College Board to help our students to prepare for the SAT. And we have some really fun and exciting, I apologize. We have some fun and exciting life skills courses as well, including internet safety, financial literacy, and even some places where our students can look at personal finance and college admissions. And now that you've seen the courses, I want to take a look at how you can use these in your everyday classroom by assigning the Khan Academy course content. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back into our Khan Academy by starting at our teacher dashboard. And I want you to select a class while you follow along. And within that class, it's going to take you to the teacher dashboard. Here is where you're going to spend a lot of time, as this is where you can do the assigning. You'll be able to pull data from here, and you'll also be able to assign different goals. We're going to start here by clicking on assignments and then assign. Once you've decided which course you want your students to participate in and what content you want to assign them, you're going to see here under assignments and assign that you have the whole course really listed out for you. One of the tricks about Khan Academy is to use the little carrots on the side because you're going to just open up even more information. Notice here I am again in the craft and structure. I've got words in context, text purpose, cross-tech connections, and I've even got that unit test. One thing that I can do is click over to the side, and I can go ahead and assign all 14 parts of that unit. I'm going to click Assign. My first choice is, do I want to assign this question set with different set of questions or the same set of questions? I can assign to all of my classes or only some of my classes, as well as pick some students. And this is really fantastic for differentiation. And then you're going to do a start date and a start time, as well as a due date and a due time. And you'll simply hit Assign. Now, you might have well been a little overwhelmed here with the number of assignments I just assigned, and I want you to know that you can even be more specific with what you want to assign. Let's say we're working in words and context. I'm teaching that in my class right now, and I want to use Khan Academy as an additional level of support in my class. So again, I can assign all of the content from words and context, which is going to be, as you look here, assign these 4. Or if I want to narrow it down even more, maybe I want my students to just watch the quick example video as well as practice in the exercises. I can narrow that down again to just 2. So that's where you're going to be able to have that power as a teacher to make sure that you know what your students are working on, and by using that assignment feature in Khan Academy. Once you have assigned, you've got 2 really fantastic features down here. We're going to start with the feature called Manage. Manage is where you can take a look at what you've assigned to your class. You'll also be able to see here the start date and the due date that you set. You can see who has completed that assignment, when they completed it, how many attempts it took them, their best score, and you can even take a look at a report of that student's work. In addition, you can download this into a CSV to maybe help you with some grading as well. If you want to dive even deeper, you can dive into responses. So I've assigned equations with variables on both sides. Remember, if it's blue, it's a clue and you can click on it. So if you wanted to see what that looked like, you'd be able to do that by clicking. But you can also narrow down your students and take a look at your student responses by clicking on responses. And here it's going to give you an item analysis look about each of the questions that the student was assessed on in an exercise. You can use this in whole group instruction if you want to help students to break down the activities. It can help you with hints if you'd like, or just a different way for students to take a look at how to break down and work on an activity. So that's how you are going to use your Manage tab. Of course, you can also use it to manage your assignments. If you click on our 3 dots here, you can make any edits you'd like to, and you can even make a copy. Once your students are working and you've really taken a look at Manage and how they're doing, that's where we want to start using our Scores tab. And our Scores tab looks like a typical classroom teacher dashboard here. So we're going to take a look. We've got all of our students listed here. You are able to toggle with some of the time. For today, I'm going to use all time. But if you wanted to just look back at the week, you'd be able to do that. And then you've got here a breakdown of how each student did. And notice we use the colors red, yellow, and green, and that helps with some of that needed differentiation, interventions, and even MTSS. You'll be able to see here that what score each of your students got if you've given them an exercise, quiz, test, or if you've assigned something like a lesson or a video, it'll give you a check mark to show you which students have completed that. And just like the previous screen, you're able to click into that blue and it'll take you back to that item analysis page where you can look and see where did your students struggle the most? Where did your students have a lot of success on this quiz? You can even drill down to see how every specific student did on that question. So there's a ton of really great data that's included within the assignments part. Again, assign the scores to those assignments as well as manage. And you have that for each of your classes. If you don't see the manage tab right away or the scores tab right away, that's going to be because you haven't had any assignments yet. But you'll see that come up once you actually start to use the assignment. So now I'm going to go ahead and move us into one really neat thing about Khan Academy, and that's going to be the course challenge. A course challenge is an assessment, kind of like a diagnostic that you would give to your students, preferably in the beginning, the middle, at the end of the year. And that's going to give your students a nice chunk of assessing how they're doing in that specific course. And it's going to help to set up their student learner dashboard to show them where they are in terms of proficiency. This will give you as the teacher lots of data back in order for you to inform instruction and to help you to be able to create appropriate assignments for your students and to track their proficiency going forward. The course challenges are also assignable. You'll find them at the very bottom of that Assign tab, where you're able to actually monitor how each of your students did with the course challenge. Now we're going to move into that monitoring student progress. One thing you'll want to know with your students is once you are really starting to get them working on Khan Academy, you've got an activity overview button right here. Within activity overview, you'll be able to see each of your students' names, and then you'll be able to see, let me switch to a different class real quick. Okay. You'll be able to see how many minutes they spent on the platform, the number of skills that they worked on, the skills that they leveled up, and their skills to proficiency. And you can even break that down by student to see exactly how each of the students is doing in the activities that you have assigned them or that they're working on independently. Another place where you can pull data as a teacher to inform your instruction and to monitor your students is going to be in the skills area. So I'm going to use these toggles here, these filters, and I'm going to go back to my Algebra 1 class. And within my Algebra 1 class, it's set up very similarly to how we saw the course set up. So if I want to look at my algebra foundations, I can look and see how my students are doing in each of these topics. So evaluating expressions with multiple variables, I can see that I have one student at attempted, two students at familiar, and I've got two students to proficiency. No students to mastery quite yet. Remember how I mentioned the carrots before? If you click on the carrot, you'll also be able to view that exercise again associated with that skill. And you'll be able to see exactly which of your students is performing in each of the proficiency levels. Notice over here, you can assign directly from this screen. So if I click assign this skill, it looks very familiar or very similar to what we had before with a different question for each student or the same question set, the students to whom you want to assign it, and then the start and the due date. And that is a quick overview of how you can assign content to your students, as well as how you can monitor them, both through scores as well as through the activity overview. Now we're going to move into Khanmigo. Now, you've probably heard a little bit about Khanmigo. Hopefully, it's floating around your school. Maybe Tamsin came and showed it to you. But these are your AI teacher tools that are going to save you time and really help you to teach that standards-based instruction. The first place that you're going to find it is going to be within that course content. So, whenever you are exploring the course for your students, you're really trying to figure out, what should I assign them? Should I have them look at this video, this lesson? There are different prompts within that course content that a teacher can use. And you can see here that you can choose from a lesson hook from this video for what is a main idea, an exit ticket, discussion prompts. And what Khanmigo is going to do, it's going to fill in that information to make your job a little bit easier and really help to engage your students with an additional activity. And I want to show you what that looks like in the platform. I'm going to go back to my Explore tab. And let's take a look again. I love the digital SAT course, so I'm going to go to that digital SAT course, digital SAT math this time. And let's dive into some advanced math. I'm going to grab this structure and expressions, a harder example. And here you see exactly what was on the screen. Again, you can assign directly from here. You can create a lesson hook, exit ticket, lesson plan, or even look at some discussion prompts, multiple choice quizzes, or refresh my knowledge. Let me show you what it does. It's going to take you directly to the tool. I'm going to name that tool Expressions, period one. Now, one of the things Khan Academy is going to do is going to say, we have content for that. You do not have to choose that, of course. You can say provide your own because, oh, I'm sorry. I just lost it. I apologize. So let me try that again. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to leave it for that. I can title it if I want, but I'm not going to in this case. But it's going to do 11th grade, number of questions 5, and then I'm going to generate the quiz here. And I've got here things like, what's the main function of the mitochondria in the cell? Which is the following that best describes George Orwell's 1984? So we've got a good variety of information from that content. But really where you're going to be able to play with these tools even more is going to be in teacher tools. So if you're following along, you're going to go right up here to Khanmigo and you're going to click teacher tools. Now, all of the teacher tools, yes, they are included within the videos and the exercises for you to attach for additional student engagement, but you can also use them here in our Khanmigo teacher tool homepage. Notice they are divided into plan, create, differentiate, support, and learn. And we also have a really neat feature, a new feature, where if you hit one of the stars next to a tool that you like, it's going to go to my favorites, and you'll be easily able to find everything that you need going forward, all those favorite tools. I'm going to show you some of these. Please feel free, if you're working on your own, to continue to play, to plug in your standards, and to really see what Khanmigo can do for you. But right now, I'm going to hit Plan. And the first place that I'm going to go is one of our most awesome tools, which is Lesson Plan. So I start by describing the topic. And in this case, I am going to use a standard from 3rd grade, multiplication. So I'm going to go ahead, I've copied it right from my best standards, and I'm going to paste that in there. I'm going to provide my own content. And I'm going to put that standard in one more time just to make sure that both the AI and I know exactly what I want it to generate. And then in the notes here, I am going to grab the clarifications from the best standards. That way I am telling Khanmigo exactly what to include and what not to include. So I hit create lesson plan. And then directly from here, it's going to give you an incredibly comprehensive lesson plan using the content that you added in. And we know with AI, the best thing to do is to be as specific as possible. And you can have a little fun with this as well. In the notes, if you don't want to include the clarifications, you can maybe include something like, my students like the NFL, include the NFL in this. Or my students are also studying cells. How can we incorporate that into this math problem? So notice here that we've got the title, it's got learning objectives, both for students and standards focused. And then we start with a learning activity. We've got a warm up and we're going to do something called number talk. That sounds cool. I've actually never heard of something called number talk. So I'm learning a little bit as we're creating these Khanmigo lesson plans. Then we've got the direct instruction. And you'll notice here that Khanmigo follows the gradual release of responsibility. So we've got direct instruction. We've got some guided practice, and then we have independent practice. And you'll notice that if you select the Khan Academy content in independent practice, it'll show you some of the areas, those exercises, videos, etc., where students can practice additionally on that skill within Khan Academy. The next place is exit ticket with the answers. We love that as teachers. And then some really fantastic teacher resources. We've got a differentiated guide for your advanced learners and your striving learners, some definitions to help you with the vocabulary and to really narrow down those important words, as well as any materials and a lesson summary. When you are in here, one of my colleagues loves to say, treat this like a buffet. You do not have to go start to finish. You absolutely may if you'd like, but pick and choose the things that you think will work best for you and for your students. There's also a really neat feature here where you can work with Khanmigo to make sure that the content that you have in your lesson plan is exactly like you want it. Let's say number talk may be something that my students aren't quite ready to do, or maybe we just do it too much. If I highlight it and I ask Khanmigo to make changes to this, I'm going to make changes to say, do a think, pair, share. So I want my warm up activity to be a think, pair, share, and it's going to give me, it wants to give me a think, pair, share activity. Try that one more time. Over here, please suggest a think, pair, share activity. Notice over here, Conmigo has opened up a chatbot box, and it's going to go ahead and give me a think, pair, share activity that I can plug right into that lesson plan. Conmigo is always here for you. It sits right on the side of the screen anytime you're using any of our tools. And also note that you can export to Word, PDF, or my favorite, Google Drive. You can also share the lesson plan. If you click share, you can just copy this link and you can send it to a colleague. Really good for those PLCs while you're doing that common planning. So I really love lesson plan. There's a few more fantastic tools that I'm going to continue to demonstrate here. The next one is called Class Snapshot. When you have your students working repeatedly in Khan Academy, one of the things that Khanmigo, our AI, does is it takes a look at that data that we just looked at a little bit ago. How are students doing on their assignments, in their exercises, on their mastery or course challenges? And it's going to take and sum up that information to help you make instructional decisions. And I wanted to show you today Class Snapshot. Class Snapshot is going to show you a 7-day overview of how your students are doing in your class. So I'm going to click on Algebra 1. That's the class I want to look at today. And then it's going to break down how many minutes have my students been working, what was their average on assignments and exercises and quizzes and tests, How many skills have they leveled up? And then if you're using course mastery, it'll also show you how close we are to that final 80% course mastery. And you can continue to use Khanmigo to dive even further into that data to help you with those instructional decisions. I have a lot of courses attached to this class. I apologize. Okay. So the next thing that's going to come up are what we call dynamic action bubbles. And these are going to help me go even deeper into this data. So one thing I want to know is how, let's group my class by some recommendations. And it's going to tell me what in Khan Academy each of my students should be working on. Right. So it looks like my students are all kind of in the same place right now. So Martin and Julie, Brandy and Doug, we're all going to work on the Constitution and understanding the Constitutional Convention. When your students are in, you're going to see that there's a lot more differentiation within this tool that'll tell you which of your students need to work on what. Next, let's pop over to Create. And we're going to go to something called informational text. And this can be used not only just in English, but really across the board in any content. It's a really great way to incorporate reading into your classroom. And it's a really great way to not have to continue to Google and find fantastic sources. So I'm going to click on informational text. My students in ninth grade are getting ready to read And Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. But before we do that, I want them to understand who Maya Angelou really is. So I'm going to say here a biography of Maya Angelou. Whoops. That's going to be my main topic. I want the AI, the Khanmigo, to know that I want it to include something about, excuse my typing, and Still I Rise. And I also know that within this unit, we're going to be looking at one of our standards that talks about compare and contrast, different text structures, compare and contrast, cause and effect. So I also want it to include some of those text structures. So I'm going to say include, compare, and contrast, and cause and effect structures. And we're going to make this 300 words. I want it to be nice and digestible for my students to get an idea of who Maya Angelou was before they dive into And Still I Rise. We've got a nice 5-paragraph informational text that again tells us about Maya Angelou, where she grew up. Here's where I asked it to include that Still I Rise. And then we're also going to see some places here where we've also mentioned I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings, the cause and effect relationship between Angelou's experiences and her writing. So it's included everything that I wanted to include in my informational text. Let's go back to our teacher tools and let's create a multiple choice quiz. Now, we saw this one work for us a little bit ago, but I wanted to show you it in isolation as well. And I'm going to grab a social studies standard here. I'm going to say space in Florida. Now, we're going to provide our own content. I'm going to grab this social studies standards about describing the effect of Florida's space program on its economy and growth. And I think I'm ready to go. Oh, I want to include something. Include specifically Palm Beach. And then we're going to give that to our fifth graders, and it's going to be 6 questions. And then it's going to go ahead and give us that quiz. Notice it says on the top, this tool needs your expertise. Be sure to double check this quiz for accuracy. And that again is where you'll be able to use Khanmigo to make any changes that you need. You can also download it, that's that export, and make changes on your own. So see here, what is one way the United States space program has affected Florida's economy? How has the space program contributed to Florida's growth, etc.? And we also, of course, oh, look, how has Palm Beach been specifically affected by the space program? And then we have here the answer key, which is really fantastic to have as a teacher too. All right, hopping back over, let's look at a couple more. This time I want to go into differentiate, and I'm going to highlight one of our text tools in here as well. Before I do that, I'm going to go over to this My Documents tab. In My Documents, you're going to see everything that you've ever created is going to stay there for you in order for you to be able to use it again, maybe manipulate it some more, whatever you need. I'm going to pop back into this biography of Maya Angelou. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this because I want to use it with my Khan Academy tool. So I go back to Tools, back to Differentiate. And this time I want to chunk this text even further. I'm going to call it Maya. And I'm simply going to paste the text into it. And I want to chunk it for comprehension. So chunk this text for me. And then you'll notice that this is going to help our students to really understand what each of these paragraphs is about by including a subtitle for each one. You could even take this and have Khanmigo create you a multiple choice quiz about each and every paragraph and turn it even into a close read. I just wanted to demonstrate how easy it is to use what you've already created and then plug that directly into Khanmigo as well. One more tool in Differentiate is a classic teacher tool. Why does this matter, right? So let's use, in this case, real world context generator. So for this, I'm going to use I'm going to say a 10th grade. I have got a 10th grade AP Bio big idea called nope, that's not it, called Cellular Energetics. When I saw this, I thought, yeah, I think as a student, I need to know how that relates to me. Why do I need to know this? So why do I need to know cellular energetics? The powerhouse of life, understanding cellular energetics. And it's going to give me some ideas really connected to what students enjoy. So you need to know cellular energetics for athletic performance and muscle function, climate change and photosynthesis, biotechnology, and biofuels. And hopefully, when you're looking at this, you're seeing this, you put your teacher hat on and think to yourself, oh, this would be a really nice choice project or a place to get students started as we enter that cellular energetics lesson or unit. Could be maybe even a wonderful gallery walk, a little research project. So there's a lot to do to increase engagement with your students using the teacher tools. I want to show you just a couple more. You do have support, a support tool, where you can use an IEP assistant, a SMART goal writer, or if you're using the Khanmigo student tools, see your student chat history. And then another really fantastic tool is going to be in Learn. And that is going to be both refresh my knowledge and chat with GPT-4. Because Palm Beach County Schools are a Khan Academy district partnership, you have this special tool that brings ChatGPT-4 directly into your platform. So you can really use it for anything. I love to use it to write emails. It also can help you to translate things into Spanish and into Portuguese. But in this case, let's use refresh my knowledge. I need a little bit of studying up before I start to teach linear equations to my students. So I'm going to plug in that standard, apply the properties of operations to multiple two linear expressions with rational coefficients. What grade level is this for? This is for my 8th grade algebra class. And again, the more specific you can be with Khanmigo, the more it can drill down. And then it's going to start with some concepts. Here's a way for me as a teacher to start thinking about how am I going to teach this to my students. The next thing I want to do is choose quiz on the topic or learn through conversation. I'm going to learn through conversation. And it's going to test me a little bit. Can you explain how you would use the distributive property to multiply two linear equations? Then I'll ask you some questions to evaluate your understanding. So I would write that out just like I would be teaching my students so that Khanmigo can help me to support my students as I roll out this unit. And I hope you can take some time to definitely play with these two teacher tools. I have a professional learning community that I work with closely, and they like to say Conmigo is their fifth member of their PLC, just because it's helped them out so much in saving some time and creating for their student needs. All right. So the next place I want to give, I'm sorry. All right. I wanted to give a quick shout out here to our Florida team. We have a Facebook page and an Instagram page that we would love you to follow along. If you want to share ideas, we'd love to hear from you. And what you're going to see on that page is just some sharing across when we visit schools, as well as sharing best practices. You'll see at the top here the support email dedicated to Palm Beach County is PBKA support at khanacademy.org. You have a direct line to Khan Academy to get help and assistance with anything that you ever need. So please be sure to jot that down and to use that any time that it's necessary. I'm going to turn it back over to Lee.
Thank you, Betsy. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to go over a couple of things before we wrap up today. If you went through ELM and you're looking for points, I'm very excited for you. Thank you. If you are realizing that, hey, I can get points for this, please make sure you go to ELM before the end of today to register for this because it closes tonight. Another way to get there, if it's easier, you can go on our EdTech training website. There's a tile in your portal. You can see the email or the URL at the bottom of your screen. The left-hand side lists e-learning courses. You're going to want to click on that and you can scroll down to today's session. We do have a jam-packed day. Take a look at this. It's only not even 11. So you have multiple sessions. If you do see some that, man, I can't believe I missed it. Well, please subscribe to this channel and you'll be able to filter back and go back to all of the recordings. So I did have a question in the chat asking if it's recorded. Yes, it'll be on our channel. So you can refer back to it anytime. And if you haven't joined our mailing list, I really, really wish you would do so. We do send out some newsletters to let you know about upcoming training and opportunities. Our training website, I will share in the chat. We do have a ton of resources available for Khan Academy and to support with Khanmigo. I'm going to put that in the chat right now. So if you do see that, please head over there to our training website for more resources. I'm going to do a final plug for our EdTech conference. We are looking for presenters. Do you have a really cool technology tool that you're utilizing in your classroom? Well, we want to hear about it. Please make sure you go to our website. It's actually going to be in person this year. And another question, Barbara, the recorded video, if you like and subscribe to our channel, you're going to see all of our sessions from today and previously on our channel. So you'll be able to watch them whenever you wish. So very excited. We're looking for those proposals. On behalf of the entire EdTech team, we appreciate you being here and hope to see you later today. Have a great day, everyone.